Hey guys, Tom itself here playing some Battlefield 4 Rush. As you might have noticed, I've been on quite the engineer kick, getting all the footage for all those launcher videos, and decided to try something different, so I've been playing support recently, and I thought I'd share what's been working for me in terms of playing support in Rush. I've been trying to use the support's LMGs and gadgets together to be a more effective team player, and not so much just a guy with a carbine that runs around with unlimited ammo. Support is an enabler, maybe even a force multiplier, keeping your teammates resupplied and in the fight where they can do the most good. Support isn't necessarily about doing everything, it's just making sure that your teammates can do their jobs. As a result, you need teammates who will actually try to do stuff. I know, sometimes that can be tricky, but you'd be surprised how often your teammates who are otherwise playing very defensively will suddenly start to move up to actually do useful things when they realize they've got cover fire, when they've got plenty of ammo, and when they've got support nearby. Actually make use of that herd mentality a lot of players have and make it work for you. The first unique thing about the support class are its guns, the LMGs. Large magazines, lots of suppression, and the ability to bipod down and provide sustained fire and be really a threat to a large area. There is a bit of variety in the LMGs. You have very assault rifle-like LMGs in the U100 and RPK-74M, and then you've got straight-up LMGs like the Type 88 LMG. The RPK-12 that you're going to see me using in almost all these clips is somewhere in between. It's got a little bit more recoil than the RPK-74 U100, but it's got a larger magazine at 60 rounds instead of 40. But when I say more assault rifle-like, I don't mean they can actually compete directly with assault rifles. They don't have the fire rate to do that. Instead, it's mostly just that you can fire while standing without the bipod and still be reasonably accurate. But for pretty much all of the other LMGs, you're going to want to burst fire at any kind of appreciable range, which is where you want to be using them. You don't want to be anywhere close to shotgun range, you'd prefer to be out of PDW range, and if at all possible, get that bipod down and provide some longer range fire. This means that your scope should be one of the medium magnification scopes of your choice, the 3.4 to 4x. If you have to go with one of the lower magnification ones, then be sure to pick up the magnifier as one of your attachment options. I'm personally a fan of the suppressor. Though it does limit my range somewhat due to the bullet drop, I find that once I'm bipoded down, it's fairly easy to go ahead and dial in the range drop just based on the tracer rounds. If you're not going with the suppressor, I would recommend the flash hider, especially when you consider probably going to be bipoded down most of the time I'm firing. If I'm not bipoded down, I'm going to be in a bit of a panic situation, probably a bit closer range, and I'm not going to need either the compensator or the muzzle brake to control the recoil at that point. Let's talk about gadgets. The support class has ammo, you need to have it, and you need to be handing it out. Not much more needs to be said here, other than you really don't need that many support players on your team, so the few that support players you do have need to have ammo and need to be handing it out. And the rest of the support gadgets have a lot of variety. You've got things like the XM25 Dart, basically a shotgun. The XM25 also has a smoke option. You've also got C4 and Claymores. Claymores can be useful, but I'm not really a big fan. But the two gadgets that I found really useful to run with an LMG were the XM25 Airburst and the remote mortar. And really, I'm only going to take the XM25 when I know things are going to be inside and the mortar isn't going to be an option. It won't get you a lot of respect, but the remote mortar can do some serious work. Watch the second parachuter on the right in the background here. Actually managed to land a mortar hit on him. It made me laugh. I didn't get a kill, but still funny. The biggest downside of the remote mortar is that it effectively does not resupply, so if yours is destroyed, really the fastest way to get another one is just to die and respawn. That means that especially on offense, you need to remember to go pick it back up when you move on to the next base normally. It can do some damage to vehicles, though not a whole lot. Generally, it just means the vehicle will try not to just sit there and take the mortar fire. They tend not to like that so much, even if it would take a really long time to have the mortar resupply enough in order to destroy a vehicle. The mortar also sticks around when you die, so you can pull out the mortar you placed on your previous life by using the left trigger or probably right mouse button, and so you can have actually one in reserve at that point. Don't just sit around and wait for the ammo to respawn into the mortar. Instead, suppress people or get kills with the light machine gun, and then shell them from behind their cover with the mortar. Suppress and shell. That's the basic idea with the support class. It applies the same way with the XM25 Airburst and grenades too. With all of that out of the way, we can move on to probably the trickiest but most important role of the support player in Rush, and that is being a good spawn point for the rest of your squad. Because this is such an important job for this kind of support player in Rush, you want to be in a larger squad, 4 or preferably 5 people. To get that, you're probably going to have to change squads every 5 to 10 minutes, because people will leave the game from your squad, and the game will not put new players back into your squad to fill it back up. That's just how it works. That's what DICE decided to do. When I say provide a good spawn point, you probably think, oh, right next to the objective. That's right where people want to be, get things done, so push all the way up as far as you can, and you'll probably get yourself killed doing that. And if you're dead, you're not providing a good spawn point at all. And it's not about the spawn point just being safe. Instead, the routes out of your spawn point need to be safe. That means the teammates can get to where they need to be to use the weapons they have. If they're close range, they need to get into some buildings. If they're longer range, they need to be able to get to those longer lines of sight. And either way, they need to be able to get up towards the objective, preferably with some cover fire from you. So for example, on Dawnbreaker here with the first base, this lower area down towards the water on the bottom of these steps with all these planters providing cover for both teams to move up and down, this is ideal area for this kind of support role. Suppress enemies behind their planters and then shell them with the mortar. And teammates who spawn in on you, they can move up and down the road or along the waterfront, or they can go straight into the buildings while you provide cover fire. It's an ideal point to spawn in on. On the other hand, I find myself overextended, just like a vehicle out in the open without enough infantry around, and I know I need to get back, get to some cover, and get some more teammates around. I'm here to support people, I'm not here to do the job myself. That's not what those LMGs are good at, running and gunning. No, I need to get behind a position, clear out the enemies, soften them up, and let my teammates do a lot of the work. Sure, my squad mates had made a nice push into the BM area there, but I didn't have anybody else from any other squads on my team in there, and I just wanted to avoid the squad wipe. So now, instead of all of us dying and having to come back from the deployment, instead they spawn in just a little further back, and as the other squads start to push up, we move into the BM. So you can probably start to see why I like the suppressor and even then the flash hider for this kind of role for support. I'm going to have lots of squad mates spawning in on me. I'm not going to be moving around a whole lot, and especially with that mortar providing a bit of a distraction, I'd rather not have the enemies knowing exactly where I am and focusing on that position. It also means I can get into some positions where the enemies aren't quite expecting me, especially between the MCOM and their deployment, especially if they're defending. And you see that happening right here on Lankang Dam as I move in between their deployment and the BMCOM and provide some cover fire, some suppression, get a lot of kills. I have to keep moving around, but my teammates can spawn in on me here, and we can eventually go ahead and surround the MCOM and take it. Again, the idea behind providing a good spawn point isn't just that your squad mates will be safe when they spawn in, it's that they can go where they want to without too much trouble. If they get funneled into a kill box or into a choke point and they just get killed as soon as they spawn in, well, at that point you're just helping lose tickets even faster. It's also another reason why the remote mortar is so great. You can actually get some work done without giving away your current position. And when your teammates spawn in on you, the enemies won't be stuck behind some head glitches somewhere, because you will either have dispatched the enemies from the cover, or the cover from the enemies. All the while, you keep poking your head up with that bipoded LMG in a basically aggressive camping position. Again, the saying is, suppress and shell. Mortar's not going to win you any friends, but if shelling people behind the cover that you just suppressed them behind isn't how you're supposed to use it, then I have no idea what's going on there. Well, that's what's been working for me playing Rush solo. Won most of my games recently. It's worked out surprisingly well. Let me know if this was useful, how this works out for you. If the mortar is something you feel morally okay using. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.